Hi everyone and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn. We're coming to you live from the Dharawal country here in Sydney, Australia. I'm very delighted to be joined by our guest, brand strategist, all the way from Canada. Hello, Anika Aggarwal. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Flynn. How are you today?
I'm good. I was like, what city is she living in now? Is it Toronto? So I just threw out Canada. Just a umbrella country.
Yeah, perfect.
Is it Toronto that you're in now? Or are you in Vancouver?
I'm a little further away from the city now, but still Toronto.
Close enough. Okay.
Let's just say that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. Fantastic intro from me. I'm really happy to have you here today with us. Our designer and Adobe Express specialist, I think now we can officially sort of say. We've done a bunch of these streams, and I know that you've got a whole bunch of features that you've kind of cherry-picked that we can use today. I'll let you jump into that. Very excited to be here. And hello to everybody watching live and also on demand. We're live on YouTube and Behance, and we'd love to hear from you if you want to give a shout out in chat. But Anika, I'll leave it to you to kind of maybe quick little intro of yourself and then what we're going to do today.
Awesome. Thanks, Lynn. First of all, thank you for having me. Yes, we do a lot of Adobe Express streams. So if you guys watching at home are watching this, go back to the playlist. We have a playlist, maybe.
We do.
Somewhere.
Oh, do we have a playlist? We have an Asia Pacific playlist, and it's part of that. But I don't think we have a subdivided Anika only Adobe Express. But maybe we should. Maybe we should do that. We'll start a little playlist. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So when you're watching this, you probably will see the playlist because Flynn is gonna do it in real time.
That's homework for me. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Got it.
Yeah. So anyway, hi, my name is Anika. We just got sidetracked there, but I'm a brand strategist and educator. I'm an Adobe expert and also an Adobe Express ambassador. I love talking about Adobe Express and how it can help you in real life use cases and scenarios. And today we're going to cover how you can use your brand and set it up in Adobe Express as a brand kit to be used across every project that you have. And then we'll jump into creating an on-brand template along with helping you share it with your team. So you'll be able to create that template and let your team remix it and create on-brand content for your social media, be it your LinkedIn, be it your Instagram, anywhere you want, and even internal stuff. So lots of fun stuff, lots of branding stuff today in Adobe Express.
Cool.
But let's jump into it. I want to point to my Instagram just to showcase how I've been using Adobe Express. So some of the stuff that I create here has been made in Adobe Express. And I like to share some of the things such as the AI tools I'm using or my partner post with Adobe Express, which is something like this. I'm going to open it in a new tab and show you how that looks. And this is what we're going to recreate today, showing you how you can create something like this, which is usable in the future. I'm actually going to pop over to my screen here just to bring that over. The same post here, which is set it and forget it with Adobe Express. This was my partner post with Adobe Express. And I usually use a template, like a carousel template. And this is what I have. And I leave this negative space where I can insert videos later, which are just screen recordings of the features I'm showcasing.
Oh, okay.
So I want to use this template as something that I use for all my carousel posts just for consistency. And I've been making sure that all my Instagram stuff is very on brand lately. So I just want to incorporate that across, and that's the motive today. So let's jump into Adobe Express and talk a little bit about how you can set up your brand. So I'm on new.express.adobe.com, and this is where you can sign in and create your brand. The way that you do that here on the left is from the brands panel. So let's click on that. I already have one set up, but we're not going to dive into that right now. Let's click on create brand, and here's where you write your name.
Cool.
So you might not be seeing any of this if you haven't created a project, which is a shared collaborative space. It would only show personal storage, but since I have multiple projects here, I'm able to see that in the drop-down menu. I'm just going to select personal storage because I don't want to share it with anyone here. I'm going to click create, and that creates a new brand for me, which has no logos, no colors, nothing right now. So our next step would be populating all of this. This is where I can add all of my brand logo lockups, all the variations, colors, and fonts, and all the templates that I have. So let's click on logo, and what I'm going to do is bring up my branding. These are my logo variations, and I have a lot of these logo variations, right? And I don't want to go on to my Explorer every time I want these. So I'm going to select all, and it's pretty cool that you can actually select all. and 25 variations. That's crazy.
So I actually use this for the Adobe Live assets that I create as well. So it's really useful even if you're working with a client. Like it's not just a logo.
Yeah,
So a way that this has been really valuable for me is I've saved all of the logo lockups. So Illustrator, Express, Photoshop, Firefly, everything all lives and they're the exact same like dimensions. And it's such a time
nice.
saver because then when I'm creating thumbnails, I just swap it out for the asset and it's always exactly the same pixel perfect. So it's really useful.
Yeah, that's a great way to use it. Actually, I should have thought about that. But that's a really nice use case. With this with these logos that I just uploaded, Adobe Express intuitively learns from the color palette and selects one of these as the primary logo because this was the first one in the list from the naming convention. I'm gonna X that out just because I don't want that color palette. But I can go in here and select the ellipses menu and edit the role of the logo. So I want to keep this as my primary logo. And then some of these are actually shapes that I want to use in my brand language across social media. So I put that also as logos just to have a segregation between other assets and shapes. So all of these are not logos, they're just part of the brand language. Okay, let's go to color palettes. For this, I actually want to bring up my Illustrator file, and this is where I have all of my assets. I just put it into a nice brand board here. So these are the colors that I want, and the good thing about having this here, I'm gonna try to see if I can put it on the side. Yeah, there you go. So the good thing about this is that I can essentially color pick from my screen. So when I click add colors, I can click the plus button and use the eyedropper and just get this color anywhere from the screen. So I can select this guy and click save and then go on for the next color. And then all of these are RGB, so I don't need to worry about any of the things because anyway, I'm using Adobe Express for only digital stuff right now.
Right.
So I'm gonna do that, and then I do have pure white, but I am gonna go to not quite white and save that out. And I want this to be a primary palette, so I'm gonna select that and then add. And this just helps me identify my primary colors. And similarly, I can go ahead and create another color palette and call it secondary. So I have all of these. And then you can go on and add all of these colors just by color picking. And it's not just these colors that I have on screen. I can essentially use anything that I have on screen. So even colors from my headshot here,
Right.
I can use that if I wanted because it's my headshot and it's part of the brand language. So maybe I wanted to use something like that. And then maybe I like this gray and I thought that this was a really nice gray and chrome. I want to use the chrome gray. So maybe you can use that in the color palette as well. So just a good little touch here that you can do that. And then what if I actually didn't have a secondary color? I can pick from the existing primary color palette and then move it across. I would not recommend this as an everyday practice, but in case you wanted a secondary or a tertiary color, this is a way that you can do that as well, and just like a side use case for that. So I'm gonna not save that change. And then comes the fonts. And I think this is pretty useful because not only can you access all the Adobe fonts within Adobe Express, you can also upload your own fonts. So I have some of these fonts that I've uploaded, but I'm gonna try to see if I can upload one of the fonts here. So I probably have Inter somewhere, which is a Google font
That's
here.
cool.
So maybe let's use that. And it does say duplicate because I've already uploaded that before. But if I hadn't, it would not give me this error. And then you do have to own the font for you to be able to upload it to your Adobe Express. By owning it, I mean you have the rights and licenses to use it commercially or for private use. So I'm going to delete that for now, but this is a way that you can do it. And I feel like that is such a useful tool because if you're working for a client who wants their custom font, perfect.
Yeah, and sometimes like
Especially
if you're
even-
working with like certain websites like Framer or something, they have a certain font family. And then if you're trying to pitch to someone, hey, we're going to use Framer and this is what the website's going to look like, you also might
Yeah.
need to be able to put that in a presentation or social media. You want the fonts to match as closely as possible or be exactly the same. So yeah, that's super useful that you can upload fonts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually was doing something like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, this font doesn't really match my brand. So I need to change that. But yeah, so I used two of these that I uploaded. two fonts that I uploaded previously. So I uploaded 18 points regular and then the bold. And I also had, and the instrument serif is actually an Adobe font. So I just added that as part of my brand kit. And then we have templates, which we're going to build in just a second. And then we also have assets. With assets, you can upload JPEG, PNGs, AI files, PSD files, SVG files, and it's just so much that you can do here because I recently discovered that you can upload SVG files. I had no idea that you could, and it just blew my mind because I was like, oh, that's interesting. I did not think
That
that you
must
could
be
upload
that must
SVG
be
files.
new. I feel like that must
It's
be new.
actually not. I actually discovered it on a call with someone who was using Adobe Express, and I was giving a workshop, and I was just surprised by it, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's awesome.
okay.
I'm gonna use that now.
And does it convert it to something else when it uploads, or does it stay as an
It
SVG?
remains an SVG.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to find an SVG here. Oh, here we go. SVG elements. So I have all of these elements which I have exported as SVGs, and it just retains the quality for me, I imagine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select all of these here and open it as part of my brand kit. So I'll be able to use all of these later, which is really, really nice. So I'll add this. And now let's browse to overview as we're loading. So this was all empty when we started. And within a few minutes, we have our logos, we have our colors. And it also says primary here because I had primary in the word. So everything with Adobe Express is so contextual because if I'm going to showcase this really quick. I can create a secondary color palette and name that as secondary and have this here. That's not a secondary color, so I'm going to redo that. Have this one.
And I just want to sort
And
of say,
then-
just on the SVG file, like just in case people don't know what they are, is they're vector
Yep.
graphics, basically. So it's scalable vector
Yeah.
graphics. So when Anika was sort of saying it retains its quality at scale, and I was very curious if it remained an SVG, that's really important because then that means that you could potentially export it and you could also scale it within the app, and it's going to retain its
Yep.
crispiness. Like it's not going to lose any quality when you scale it up and down, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Flynn. With this, I just wanted to showcase that I had primary palette in the name, and that's why I thought it was taking it as primary. But that's not true because both of these are secondary color palettes. There's no way to add a different role to this. I can change that to none as my third palette, but yeah, yeah. I thought it was contextual for a second. I was like, oh, that's cool because I could just write in the name and it would learn from it. But that would be a cool feature to have
Yeah.
in the future where I could just write in a name and it could contextually learn. And that's like a great use of AI as well. So maybe I can put that in the user voice today.
Yeah.
But these are the assets that we uploaded. It seems like some of these may not be converted, but we'll find out later. So that's how you set up a brand. And you might be wondering, this is just in my Adobe Express account. So how do I share it with my team who's going to create templates using this brand? The way that you can do that is click on this little person. And this is where you add the emails of the people that you want to share it with. It can be people in your brand team. It can be people in your marketing team. And then you can change access for the people as well. So you can either do anyone with the link can view and use, or you can do invited people can access. This is probably safer and you want to keep it in your organization. So I would recommend this one and then use this. Unless you have a brand that you share with a lot of people and you want it to be widely used, then the second one is the better option for you. But that's how you do all of that. Since I think that this is a good brand kit coverage, let's move on to creating a new post, which we'll use as a template.
Cool.
Flynn, do you have any questions? Do you think we covered everything here?
I think so. I'm interested to see if those SVGs worked or not, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I always learn something new. I think it's always interesting when we sit down and go through Express. And if you watch any of the previous streams, don't think there's a stream where we're not sitting there and we're like, hey, does it work like this or does it work like this? There's often things changing behind the scenes. And I think there's a lot of sort of soft changes that happen that aren't big announcements or that we miss or we just discover by creating. And it's always such an interesting experience going through this because I use Express so much now and I'm always discovering something new.
I agree. No, there are so many updates like every other week that are pushed out. Sometimes I go back in after 3 days or 2 days and I just can't find the same thing because it's somewhere else.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
there's a new feature that's added that I had no idea about, such as the spell check, which was added recently.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I had no idea that this was a thing. But it's cool to have because I see spelling errors on people's social medias and I cringe because I hate it. I hate it
I'm
when that
terrible for
happens.
that. I always like spelling mistakes in my captions, and someone tells me it's like, "Hey, thank goodness you can edit after the fact." Usually, my designs I
Yeah.
spell check everything just from being a designer, Yeah, and
Yeah.
and because back in the day you didn't have any spell check in any of the apps, so I'm still in the habit of typing something out in a word processing sort of
Yeah.
thing, and then copying it and bringing it in. Whereas, in the caption, I'm just on my phone with my fat dad fingers, and I just make mistakes all the time, and just want to get it done, get it out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Just as we were talking about new features, I found this a couple of days ago, not a couple of weeks ago, where now you have safe zones just for one right now, which is the
Oh, for
Instagram
social
portrait
media.
post,
Cool.
which is really cool because that's what I'll be using for this. And so I can turn it on just to have that margin, just to make sure that it's a safe zone. And then for background color, I can go in here and go to my swatches panel. And conveniently, my palette has been pulled up, which is really nice because this was the last brand kit that I made. But I'm actually going to go ahead and pick my previous one. It's interesting that I can have two brands with the same name. But I'm gonna use this and then use something from my primary color palette, which is this blue. I can also go ahead and use this black, which is not quite black, but let's use this blue as my background. And then I can browse to my brand assets from the left navigation panel here just to see what assets have been added. So these were I think this is the new one. Yeah, this was the one that we just created. And so I have all these assets. The first thing that I'm going to do actually is see if all of these are actually SVG. And they are, yeah.
Nice.
They're pretty crisp. Yeah, I love it. Um, and then I can just bring this along here. And I think what I want to do is add some text on top. So maybe I want to do this guy. And instantly, when I selected the font there, it inserted a text box, which is really nice. And I can go in and change the fill color here to be this white and then say whatever I wanted to say. So I'm
It's
going to say
nice.
set it and
It's nice having the text kind of just there so you can straight away edit it and also see it rather than
yeah,
clicking and then having to sort of drag a rectangle or click on there and then
Yeah.
start typing some gibberish and then go back over. And yeah, it's just a nice little,
Yeah.
such a small thing, but over time it's really appreciated.
yeah.
Saves you a
Yeah.
couple of
It's
clicks.
just that nuance, when you're just doing something, it's just good user experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is about, like what differs from me using an app every single day or me not using an app once in a while and then being frustrated with it every other day. So I think that's where Adobe Express does it well when it also comes to like the Adobe ecosystem integration, where not only can I select what app I'm using, but I also start from that app. So I can upload an InDesign file, I can upload an AI file, I can upload a Photoshop file, which is really nice. But as we were doing this, I just had that SVG file and I went in to add an effect to it. So I used the duotone effect and that's what I did. But yeah, we have a basic layout now. I'm not gonna go ahead and make it perfect because I know that's one of my things that I'm working on. In therapy, we're working on not caring about perfection, so we're not gonna
Nice.
do that here. And we'll keep this just for the demo. We'll keep it as it is. And then we have this. So I'm just gonna add my subtext here, which can be anything. So you have this, and this could be my front, like the first page of the carousel. So that's what it is. I do want to go ahead and add the Adobe Express logo. So I'm gonna go into the library that I made just to see if I actually uploaded that here. It should be under assets. There we go. And for any of the assets too, if I click on it once, it just brings it up to my screen, which is
Yeah.
nice. So I can just oh no, I can just customize it anywhere. So I can just bring this here, and these are all replaceable assets too. So I can click the replace button and click from brands. And this is where all of my assets come into the picture. So maybe I wanted the smiley, and then I can select that and click replace. And now it is cropped to the size of the first spiral thing that I added. And the way to do that is click on this crop button and go to original and then click outside. And it's simple as that. I don't need to go ahead and worry about whether or not my asset was resized or whatever. It's just one extra step and it does so much for you. And it's super easy. Okay, so this is my page 1. What I'm gonna do is add the next page and select same size. And the save zones are really nice because now I don't have to worry about going off the page as well. And I'm using this as like the bleed that I have on the page too, so I don't care if this is going away from the page, which is really nice. And now let's go ahead and create a second page, and then we'll go on to creating a palette. Or sorry, not a palette, a template. Got my words mixed up there. But I'm going to copy this text here and then change that color to a blue, which is for contrast. And this is where I'm going to say log off. So usually how I create these, like my formula for making carousels, is essentially have an introduction page and then tell me about the problem. And then the following pages are the solutions. So what I want to do is talk about how Adobe Express can help you log off quicker this summer. So that's my problem per se. And here's some text that I added for that. The next step that I'm going to do is go to my media, and maybe I want to add like Polaroid. Let's see if there's like a Polaroid. Here we go. So I want to add a photograph of a beach or something else here in this slide. So maybe I want to keep a Polaroid here. So let's add this asset. I'm going to scale that down and then rotate that a little bit and remove the background. So these are all of the features that I was not talking about that we'll cover today. But this is something that is so nice to have in Adobe Express because I don't have to go anywhere else for all of this. And I can just use and stay in the web app just to have this done quickly and easily. And so it's really nice. I can just have this, and it did not remove the color of this guy here in the middle. So I can just use the erase button and then click and drag.
That's
so
cool.
if I change the background color, it actually erased everything else
and it's
in the
so
middle.
good that
so now I can insert.
So good that it's good enough
Sorry,
to
go
do
ahead.
that now. Like it's really amazing. Like I've used it for even cropping heads out, like an almost, I'd say 9 out of 10 times. It does a good enough job that I don't have to open up Photoshop just to kind of, we used to call it deep etching. It used to be like a full-time job doing that. And now you just press a button in a web app and it's all done for you. It's really amazing.
It's insane how quick it is. But I love it. So I just pulled in a beach photograph from Adobe stock and I used it as a dummy template here. I can also go ahead and lock some of these elements. So if I right click on it, I can go ahead and select either lock, allow, image replace, and this comes into picture when I'm actually sending this as a template for someone else to create from it. So I am actually going to select allow image replace because maybe they want to use a different size of Polaroid. Maybe it's a landscape picture that they're using. So I want them to have that option. Similar to this one where I'm also going to do allow image replace because maybe their beach looks different or their vacation looks different from my vacation.
It's a lot colder here than it looks like in that photo. I feel like this is a subtle attack at me sitting in my jumper in winter.
No. I'm also gonna do that with some of the elements on the screen. So let's say you have a brand logo that you don't want people to be editing. That's where lock comes into picture, and this is fully locking it. And if you wanted to make it replaceable, you still have the option here on the contextual manager here, the properties manager. But I want it to be Adobe Express. I don't want people to change it because this is supposed to be an Adobe Express post. So let's do that, and then we have some of this. Now let's go ahead and talk about how I can actually make a template out of this, right? So on the top here, we have the share button and we have lots of options up top. You can feel free to collaborate with people, but you can also make a template. So here's a template, make a template. And this is actually a new UI. It used to appear as a pop-up box in the center if you've done this before, but it shows me both my pages here. So I have this. And then you can change the template name. Don't keep it untitled. So I'm going to say Adobe Live template here. And then it tells you or asks you where you want to save it. You can select one of the brand libraries that you have created within Adobe Express or any of your Creative Cloud libraries, or you can choose to create a new brand or a library within here. What I'm going to do is select able heads, which is my library, and you can write a template note. Please use this template carefully. And this is essentially where you put in your best practices for the people using the template. So let's say replace image using only brand imagery. This is something that I want to tell the people. And I can create save template here as well.
Cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and showcase one other way that we can do this. It's interesting that I don't actually see the locks and restrictions that I can apply here. Maybe because the UI recently changed, but previously you could actually put in locks and restrictions about how you can change the images as well. So I could make a template in a way that the people using the template would only be able to use images from the brand, because I can select the brand while creating the template.
Right.
So I think that's something that you cannot do anymore. But let me double check. I'm going to select this button and see if it gives me that. Yeah, that's interesting. And then let's try another way as well. There's a view only link. Since what if I did not want to create a brand for the template? What if I only wanted a view only link for it where people can go on it and remix it? So this is the second way of creating a template for a view only link. Here is the button where I can allow others to remix, and then click on creating a link. This link is a dynamic URL. So once you make changes, you can come back here and republish the link like you would in InDesign,
Right.
and it would just republish it. And if you've never used InDesign, what I mean to say is if you upload anything else onto this or change pages, add pages, delete anything, you can go back to the share button, go to view only link, then go to update link right over here, and then that'll update the existing link. You won't have to update or refresh or tell people that I changed the link. You can just tell them that there were changes. If you refresh, you'll be able to see those changes.
It's really
So I'm gonna-
useful for working with clients because it's,
Yeah.
especially not as tech savvy people. Like you send them a link and you say, hey, this is it. This is the link. And then you can say, hey, it's been updated. Hey, it's been updated. And they can just refresh and it's nice. It's
Yeah.
like, just keep the window open. We'll sort this out by the end of the day. It's nice not to have to continually share different versions of this, this very similar sort of link. Clients can get a little bit lost.
I feel that. Yeah, so this was the link that I have here, and I have opened it right over here. And these were the two pages. I can choose to either share this link with someone or remix this link. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to share the locks and restrictions part where I can apply locks to the template, because I think there were still some UI changes recently, and I think that still might be under construction. Or if I'm missing something, I'm gonna go take a look again, just to make sure if I missed anything. But it used to be under make a template where a pop-up box, if you've ever used this before. I don't know if none of you have, but it
No.
used to be here. It's surprising that it's not here anymore. But you could make locks and restrictions. You can add hard locks to elements, which is what we did with some of these, like this one. So I could essentially say that only use brand colors, only use images, and I can lock that in the UI for someone. So if they were actually making it from my brand kit, which is right over here, let's go to that. Because I saved that template in the brand. Let's go to here, and I see it already popping up, which is really nice. So let's go to that. This was the first way. So we saved it into a brand. This is where I can preview it, and this was the node that I added. This is the link for it, and I can start a new file right from here. So if I do that, it's going to create a copy of this template in my personal Adobe Express account and keep this template in the brand kit, which is really nice. So now I can see that this is a logged element, which was logged by the person who made the template. And since I'm the person making the template, I can still see it on the left. So it's not the same UI, but you'll probably not be able to edit this if someone else made it for you. And then this one is also logged, but this has a different color and not a grayed out lock, because this means the image can be replaced. So I can go ahead and replace that image using my brand. And then I don't have any images right now, but if I did, I would just use that. I'm going to replace it just with, let's see, photos. Yeah, and then I can just look up, I don't know, Iceland. How do you say that? However, and then I'm just going to use this as the image. yeah, this is my vacation. I would love to go to Iceland someday. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
replace that with that here. I did replace the wrong image, so I'm gonna select this one and fix that really quick.
I was going to say it looked like it
And
replaced
replace
the
the,
full Polaroid, right? So it went over the
yeah,
top. Yeah.
yeah. It was on top of the image layer, which was the actual image, and then this was an image as well. So it just selected the one on top by default.
Right.
But yeah, that's my vacation, and then it also has like a matching color scheme, which is really nice. And then I can go here, and then maybe I wanted it to be summer templates for this, right?
Yeah.
And so I can just go ahead and edit all of this, and that's how I can use my template. So that's really nice. That's way one where I'm using a template from my brand kit, right? This was the link that I created, which is the second method, which is creating a view only link. So if I click on this remix button up top, it lets you do the same exact thing, except you don't have to go into a brand if you don't have access to it. And then you can just create a copy from this one link, which you can share with anyone, and they'll be able to remix it. So the same thing, these elements are still logged, and this is still logged with replaceable assets as well. The one thing here is that if I'm creating a variation here for this asset and I wanted to jump back to my older version, that's really cool because you can now actually do that within Adobe Express with version history. I haven't edited this, so it doesn't have any version history, but let's go back to the one that we did edit. It does show version history. This is where you can actually mark some of these versions as well. So if I mark this, it's going to retain this version even after 30 days. And you can mark the first one here. And then I can go ahead and change this to winter templates, maybe because it's winter where Flynn is. So maybe you want to create winter templates.
Thank you.
Right?
for
It
reminding
is
me.
also contextual. So I can go in here, and then after a little while, once it's updating, I can make that as second, and I can retain all of this within one file. I
Right.
don't need to go back and forth to have multiple. Although I would probably make a copy just for my sake of mind because I want to refer to that at all times. But in case you missed it, and in case you replaced the summer with winter and you forgot to create a copy of it, this is a great use case of that because you can actually jump back to your marked version. I'm gonna quickly refresh and show how you can do that. So yeah, right now we're on winter templates. I can go back to my version history, and this is my current version, and this is my first version. I can actually see it here. This was the initial version. And it's interesting that it didn't save the summer templates part, but I can essentially go back to my first version as well. So the way I can do that is click on the plus button, and it's going to create a copy from my saved version. So if I click on
okay.
open,
I didn't even know there was version history in Express. There's another thing
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
yeah, the more you know. Adobe
Yeah.
Express is so vast and versatile.
getting
like,
deep,
there's
isn't it?
always something
Yeah.
new. Yeah. It's insane how quickly everything changes in the landscape too, and it's also with like technology and everything else. And it's just interesting to see how it also adapts to users' needs. So I would love to have version history. That's something I was thinking about the other day, and now you can have versions of the same file. So this was my initial one, and then this was my new one. I probably did not create a version for, I did not have it for long enough. I don't know exactly how long you need to retain some of the copy in the text for it to mark as a version, because as you can see, this is a cloud file. So it probably takes a while to upload that part, and then you have to retain that for a little while for it to become a version.
Right.
And that's probably what happened here.
Yeah.
And the session probably ended, maybe it's 3 minutes that it happened, and then I changed the text in between, and that's why it wasn't
Yeah.
a version. So,
Kind of taking
yeah.
snapshots through time, but it's not
Yeah.
doing it every second. Otherwise, there'd be thousands of
Yeah.
versions, which would be too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good for the cloud or the environment.
Right.
Yeah. No pun intended.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that does it for us today. I did want to touch on the locks and restrictions, but unfortunately the UI has changed. I should have checked that earlier, but I just did not expect it. But there are some other ways that you can actually share this template as well. Since we didn't cover the locks and restrictions, I can touch a little bit about the content scheduler, which I think might be helpful for someone using these templates. So let's say I use this template and remixed it, and now I want to share it to my social media. The way you can do that is click on the share button and then click on share to social. This is where your content scheduler comes into picture, where you can select your channels, you can add a caption, and also actually generate a caption with the Chat GPT integration within Adobe Express. You can also add people, which is really nice, and this is also new. You can also insert an emoji, which this UI is also really nice. I haven't seen this before, but this is where you can select your pages as well, and then you can select your channels. So I have personal calendars, I have project calendars as well. Maybe I want to post it to my personal calendar and then post it as a post because this is a carousel. You can do reel or story here. And it's story, I think, is only available for business profiles, so keep that in mind. And then you can write a caption for a winter template for with Adobe Express. I'm going to leave that typo and click on generate and see what happens. So I'm going to say, oh, wait, did I not click on generate? Generate. Oh, here we go. I got confused there for a second. But that's really cool. Now with just this, especially even with the typo here.
Oh, wow.
It gave me all
I didn't
this.
realize what was happening. I thought it was maybe going to do a spell check or something for you, but so I'm looking over here at my big screen so I can read it.
Yeah.
But, oh, cool. Yeah, nice.
So I can generate a caption just with the prompt. So I entered a prompt instead of the caption and it let me generate it. Now I can insert it, but I can also go ahead and rewrite, shorten or lengthen it.
Yeah.
The way that you can do that is click on shorten. So maybe I want to do this to not make it look very LLM-like, and then insert that. And then we have this here, and then you can also go ahead and format this. I'm not sure if it retains this formatting. It has for me sometimes in the past and hasn't other times.
Yeah.
So I would definitely double check and see. And the good thing, we were talking about this earlier, Flynn and I, where I could actually edit my captions in post later. So if you do make some formatting issues, you can go back and edit.
It's not the end not the end of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is really cool. I did not know that you could actually do that. But yeah, you can actually find people here. I'm trying to see if I can. Oh, here we go.
You come up.
So it shows you people's profile. I'm not sure. I didn't want to blast your full name.
No, it's fine. That's fine. It's public.
Oh, here we go.
That's me. Okay.
Yeah.
Must be integrated with, like, you're logged in, because you're logged into your account. It must work through the Instagram API to have access to your
exactly, because
list.
I follow you and it just takes my following list.
It'd be so embarrassing if you didn't follow me and we just did that and I didn't come up because you don't like are not interested in my content at all.
Yeah, I would just be like, I'm not.
That'd be so funny. I wouldn't blame you. It's all right.
No, I would never do that.
Yeah.
We have pages and profiles, which is really new. So this is nice that you can add a social mention here. And then you also have the option to add a first comment, which a lot of people add their hashtags to that. So there's an option to do that here. And then the last and the final thing is actually scheduling, where you can select any time or day and publish that, and then also publish now. I'm not going to schedule it because every time I do a demo of the content scheduler and schedule something, I forget to unschedule it.
Right.
And someone sends me an iMessage saying, hey, did you mean to post this?
Yeah.
Like, that was actually NDA. So thank you.
Yeah. Whoever does that is a really good friend of yours. That's like a friend that you see and you've got something in your teeth and they straight away just say, hey, you've got something. They're the best friends.
Thanks,
in the world.
Liz. Thanks, Liz.
Shout out
Liz
to Liz.
is the one.
There you go. She's a real one for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can also preview your post here and also then schedule, which if you click on it, you schedule. So Here we are. And then from the home page, you can actually see all of your content here. And the one last thing, I know I said the last thing was scheduling, but the last thing is actually these prompts in the content scheduler, because there's no last thing with Adobe Express. There's always something new.
Right.
You can actually now have prompts. You actually have prompts now, which lets you create without thinking, which honestly is something that we all need with this social media hustle culture. I personally have a hard time finding stuff that matches my content pillars and my brand, and then coming up with something that's unique and adds value to the people. So yeah, this is just like helpful if you're finding it hard to come up with prompts. You can go ahead and find something here and it gives you prompts and takes away the thinking. It's like going to the gym with a trainer. Like your trainer tells you what to do and you
You
can
just got
just
to
do
show
it.
up. You just have
So
to show up. Yeah, no research. Yeah,
exactly.
something
Go to
nice
content
about it.
scheduler, show up, let Adobe Express tell you what content to create, and then you can create a social post right from here.
Right.
So it can add stuff. So you can drag and drop if you use Illustrator or anything, or you can browse from stuff here. Or maybe if in the moment you saw that and you thought of a caption or wanted to generate something, you can say, write a caption here, generate that, and then add it as a draft for later. So you have something on your to do list here too, so you can go back to it. But yeah, that brings me to a close of our stream
The
today.
real end, the
The
actual end.
real end.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's a good point. Like, there's kind of always something more to talk about, but we do need to wrap at some point, I suppose. But
Yeah.
that was a really featureful Adobe Express run through. I think maybe probably the most featureful
Yeah.
one I think that we've done. I know there's just obviously there's just always changes. There's always updates to the flow and how things work. And I mean, thanks Anika for keeping us up to date and showing us a little bit more pro tips in Adobe Express. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm glad we could cover a lot of the features you were talking about earlier. So yeah, it was nice being here.
Covered heaps of stuff. It's really fantastic. And thank you all for watching live as well. I hope you learned some stuff. I learned heaps. And also if you're watching on demand, I'm going to get to work making that playlist. That's my homework. But thank you so much, Anika, for joining us once again. Thank you everybody for watching.